Video game players have a very unique opportunity right now, and that is to bankrupt a company, a gaming company, Ubisoft itself, because it's coming out with two large titles where it's betting the entirety of the company on the release, might I dare say, even quadruple A titles that the CEO mentioned before about some of their previous releases. And I think that is the case with Star Wars Outlaws and of course Assassin's Creed Shadows, which both games have come out with their own levels of controversy. And I think that is the situation that we're seeing Ubisoft in, as it dedicates itself to this ideology of grasping on to progressive ideals and social mores. And we're seeing that play out with Assassin's Creed Shadows as they make the main character of an ancient Japanese game a large African character, which to their excuse is a character that existed in history, that they're embellishing and over-aggrandizing their story, which I would be fine with if it wasn't done for the wrong reasons. And the reasons I say it's being done for is for modern day political pandering that we see happen all throughout the video gaming industry, with a whole host of titles subjecting their games to this ideology of injecting diversity, equity, inclusion into the gaming industry without a care of the gameplay or actually making a good story. And I think that's the main thing people have a problem with. They inject these politics without the thought of making a good story, because the politics are the number one thing, and people have no problem if you inject your own morals and politics into a game, but we care if it's a good game, and we care if you actually hire people that are talented enough to make those games. And that doesn't seem to be the case with Ubisoft right now, where they're hiring people based on their modern day progressive ideals of focusing on race and gender rather than talent and quality of skill. And I think that is being bared out with a lot of titles that are coming out recently in the video game industry that are absolutely failing in the industry. And you can see the makings of that failure with Star Wars Outlaws and with all these other properties that are coming out of Ubisoft. And I think that's the thing that we're seeing with some of the people they're hiring to analyze and do historical context for the game, because they're hiring people that are more focused on racial, gender, politics, rather than something that is focused on making a constructive game that is playable and entertaining with a good story. And I think that's not what we're getting with the writers that they're hiring, people that are focused on gender, politics, rather than actually good gameplay, good source material that is connecting to that time and place. But because they're hiring people that are more focused on their modern day sensibilities, and you can see this with the writer who's affiliated with Sweet Baby Inc., that is a controversial consultancy firm that only wants to inject their progressive morals into the gaming industry without a care to the value of the game itself. And I think this is why people are having animosity against Ubisoft, and this is the perfect chance to excise this anger against Ubisoft, because they have two large titles that are coming out near the end of the year. You have Star Wars Outlaws in August, and of course Assassin's Creed Shadows in November. And I think these two games are going to be in a position where they may put Ubisoft in a dark enough hole if they're not successful. These are games that they spent over $200 million each into to produce. And I think if both of them fail in a tremendous fashion, it's going to force them to reorient their focus on what is a good game and the current hires that they have at Ubisoft that are producing these terrible games. And I think that's the thing that we might see if we don't buy these games. And this is a proposal that was presented by Mark Kern, the former director of Warcraft, where he came out with this idea that we're in an interesting time where a lot of the people in power at Ubisoft, the DEI proponents, the Sweet Baby Inc., philosophy-minded people that have these progressive politics are in power at Ubisoft. They have redirected the game in multiple fashions. We see the uglification of even the models they've chosen to play as some of the characters. They have this penchant, like every other video game developer, to uglify the female characters, to strip them of any sense of femininity. You can see this in the body design, where she just has no chest. She might as well be a non-binary character. I think that's the thing people are annoyed by with these modern day politics invading Star Wars, invading these games that had no sensibility of focusing on these modern day issues. And I think having that developer base that is focused on these issues is killing the gaming industry. And I think Mark Kern presents a good idea where we have these two tentpole games coming out this year from one developer. And if that developer has two large tentpole games that absolutely fail in a tremendous fashion, that is going to change the course of that entire studio. Because like I said before, the video gaming industry is a very sensitive industry to be in, where if you make one big failure, that could destroy your studio. If you make two big failures, that could bankrupt you. And I think this is a chance for the game players, for the gamers that have an axe to grind with Ubisoft, to actually exact their revenge for the poor quality of games that they have been putting out there. I think if we restrict ourselves, if we hold ourselves back and don't buy these games, don't buy Assassin's Creed Shadows, don't buy Star Wars Outlaws, we have a chance to actually show them what we mean when we say we don't want these games made by people that hate game players, that hate video games, and are only there for their progressive politics. We want people that make games, that love to make games, that love to inject an interesting story into the games. No one has a problem with diversity. No one has a problem with representation. We just have a problem with bringing low quality people that don't know how to make games, that hate games, and are only there to push their modern day social political agenda onto other people. And I think that's the thing that we're seeing play out in Ubisoft with all the characters that are there being represented in the staff. We have these people that are always gloating about their modern day issues, the current things they want to put into the video gaming industry because they feel like it is too male focused, it's too dominated by men. So we got to put this female focus where it's just not even the concern for the gamers. The gamers want a good game. If that is not your concern, then get out of the gaming industry. You're not meant to be here if you're not concerned about making a good game first. And I think that's what gamers want. We want people that want to make a good game first. That's all. And that's the person we will placate to and buy their games. And I think if you're upset that people are not buying your games because you don't care about games, that is your problem. And I think that's the thing we have an issue with in the gaming industry. I think it's going to be solved if we actually band together and put these games in a position of failure. And I think I'm hoping for that to be the case with Ubisoft and their new releases coming out. I think it will be an amazing situation if we are able to get these games to actually fail in such a way where they have to change their direction of the company. They have to fire people that have been pushing these agendas, and they have to actually hire talented people for once. And I think that's our issues with these companies, that they don't have the talented people. They're obsessed with these modern day politics, thinking that they will bring them money. It hasn't made them money yet. And I think this is the chance for us to show them that it's not going to make money in the future. And I think that is why I agree with this decision by Mark Kern here, this plan to follow where we have to put pressure on these two games. We already know Japan is very angry at Assassin's Creed. They have a petition out there to ban it from the country, which I don't agree with banning things like that, but I understand the sentiment. We have Star Wars Outlaws, which is a Star Wars game that's trying to ride the wave of Jedi Survivor, which was a popular game that is still a quality game made by people that still love games. And I think this is a situation where we can say, we're not going to follow you anymore. We're not going to buy your games until you change the focus of your company. And this is the strongest statement I think we can give to Ubisoft. But you tell me what you think about the situation. Do you think we might be able to bankrupt Ubisoft? I think it's a strong possibility. Even if we can't, we got to apply pressure on them. They already had a big failure of release. I think we can do something even bigger with the failures of Assassin's Creed Shadows and Star Wars Outlaws, where they have to change their mind of which direction they're going with the future of the company. But you leave your comments. Tell me what you think. Like, comment, share, subscribe. This is Wagner Knows Why. Catch you next time.